as we turn our attention to the Gospel according to St. Luke, chapter 15, let us together reflect on verses 1 through to 10. Let us first go to God in prayer. O God, our good shepherd, we bless you that you have never given up on any one of us, and you will never give up on anything that you have created or anyone who carries the breath of life. And so we come today to this time with optimism, knowing that wherever we are, that you will find us. And whatever is lost in us can be found and brought back to life and to its proper place of honor to you. So speak now, O God, a word that is in season, a word that is transformative, life-giving, a word that will lift us out of darkness, out of the places where we are lost or hidden, and bring us to the throne room, the place of rejoicing, the place of redemption. And so into your hands we commit the word that has been read, and pray your blessings upon its interpretation and its application to our continued life, pursuing you as our Redeemer, our Savior, and our Lord. So let the words of my mouth and the reflections of our hearts be pleasing in your sight, O God, our strength and our Redeemer. And the people of God say, Amen. The story is told of a young pastor stepping into big shoes. The church that he had been sent to as the new pastor had just lost their founding pastor, who had led that particular church for several decades before his passing away. With youthful zeal and enthusiasm, this young pastor began to preach the gospel and reach out into the community. And God tremendously blessed his ministry, his effort, and his preaching. As a result, people began to come to know the Lord. People began to come to church. Many of them got saved. And what used to be a little church began to grow exponentially. The young pastor was so excited about what God was doing in the church and assumed that everyone in the church would share his excitement. So he was completely devastated when he learned that the church members had called a secret meeting and voted to have him removed as pastor of the church. And he asked why, and the reason given, they didn't like the type of people who were coming into their church. Many of these new people came out of backgrounds that included drugs and alcohol abuse and were a little rough around the edges, even after coming to Christ. To the old-time members, it seemed like all they loved and held dear to about their church was beginning to be threatened by these newcomers. Their church had always been a nice place where respectable churchgoers come and sing a couple hymns and hear a short sermon. They were frightened to see their church being overrun by men and women coming out of sinful lifestyles. In order to preserve the kind of worship climate they held there, they voted the young pastor out because, as far as they were concerned, he was troublemaker. He was upsetting the nice little church that they had come to love. The parable that is before us, or the parables that are before us in Luke chapter 15, reveal to us that both the tax collector and sinners, as well as the Pharisees and Sadducees, were all in need of saving. Those who were rough around the edges, as well as those well put together, respectable church people, were all in need of saving. And so Jesus told this parable because the Pharisees and Sadducees had a problem with the kind of people that Jesus had hanging around. They had problems with the kinds of people who were coming into their well-put-together synagogues and were stirring up the kind of noises that they were unaccustomed to. Their peaceful, quiet, 1-hour worship had turned into several hours of Jesus, not only teaching and preaching, but he was healing and feeding. And they didn't like it at all. And so they complained. And Jesus told this parable about this shepherd who had 100 sheep. One was lost. He still had 99. One was lost. And the shepherd sacrificed everything. He left the safety of his home, the protected place, and he went out searching for the one that was lost, risking his life, risking his comfort, risking his security, because this one sheep that was outside the fold was as important as the 99 that was safely laid. And he did not go back home until he found the one. And in finding the one, he placed it on his shoulders and started rejoicing and invited all his neighbors to a party to rejoice because this one sheep that had been lost is now found and safely in the fold. And now the shepherd can rest because all are gathered in. And he also tells of this woman who had 10 coins. One got lost and she swept her entire house. She did spring cleaning. She shook everything up. She moved the furniture around. She swept and swept. In the dark places, she lit the lamp and did not rest until she found the one that was lost. And when she found it, she too threw a party, invited her friends and the neighbors to come and rejoice with her because the coin that was lost had been found and has been restored to her treasure chest. And of course, you know the implications of this. That every human being, that every life is valuable to God. that every human being is worth the sacrifice, and that God will pursue every one of us, respectable and rough, religious and irreligious, faithful church goer and the one who doesn't want to see the church doors, the one who gives generously and the one who withholds all that they have. Jesus will pursue you until you are safely in the confines of the fold, until you have been restored to the place of honor, until you have experienced his extravagant love, until your heart burns with the fire of his love, until you submit yourself and sing, "All to Jesus I surrender," until you come to know the joy of his salvation, that God in Jesus Christ values each person and will not rest until you have come to know the joy of the Lord. But as I reflect on this passage today, I'm confident that you already know all that I have said before. And so allow me to reflect from a slightly different perspective on this particular passage. Because you see, not only are people lost and need to be found, but sometimes I submit to you that parts of us are lost, and we need to find ourselves. We need to find those lost parts of us until they are restored and we become whole people. You often hear people say that they feel like a part of them is missing. Have you ever heard that expression? And maybe you have said it yourself. I do not quite feel my full self. There's a part of me that is missing. There's something about me that I used to be that is no more. Can you think, my brothers and sisters, of parts of your life that have been lost along the way, along the journey of life? That when life begins to happen, when you begin to take the twists and turns of life, when you begin to go up hills and down into the valleys, when you begin to meet the dark path and life becomes a struggle, life becomes a tremendous journey, you find that along the way it is easy for you to lose parts of yourself. Some of those lost parts are recent wounds. Others are scarred memories. And always, my brothers and sisters, the questions: can we find the lost parts of ourselves? Can I become whole again? Can I become my full self? Can I be fully restored to what God created me to be, what God intended me to be? I wonder if that's what the shepherd and the woman in today's parables are asking themselves. I wonder if they feel as if they have lost a part of their life. A sheep, a coin. It's not just a sheep, any sheep, but a particular, a specific sheep. And it's not just a coin, any coin, but this coin, a particular coin, a peculiar coin. It is not just a part of our life, any part, but this part, a particular part. Without it, we are less than whole, full, and we want ourselves back. We want to feel ourselves again. We want to feel our full self. We want wholeness. If you know what it's like to have lost a part of yourself, then you know what it's like to be the shepherd and the woman in today's gospel. That's not just the usual way this gospel is interpreted, as I said. As I indicated, usually the interpretation goes something like this. The lost sheep and the lost coin are often taken to be sinners who have gone astray, done wrong, gotten lost. And the shepherd and the woman are often seen as images of a searching God. And that is true. But I'm saying, look again and see if there isn't more here for us. The woman says, I have lost the coin that I had lost. The shepherd says, I have found my sheep that was lost. The woman says, I have found the coin that I had lost. The woman lost her coin. The shepherd lost his sheep. It's more about the shepherd and the woman than it is about the sheep and the coin. Besides, it's hard to attribute culpability, free will, or a choice to a sheep or a coin. And so the sheep nor the coin can be blamed for their lostness. And so here we have the woman taking personal responsibility and saying, the coin that I lost. And so I'm submitting to us that the lost sheep and coin already belonged to the shepherd and to the woman. The shepherd had 100 sheep to begin with, and the woman had 10 coins to begin with. The shepherd lost a part of himself. The woman lost a part of herself. They were whole and complete until something of their life was lost. The 10 coins is a complete. The 100 sheep is a completeness. One sheep missing means that it is incomplete. One coin missing means that it is now incomplete, and completeness will only be restored when the one sheep has been found and when the one coin has been found. So I want to take this approach in reflecting with us. What if we are the shepherd and the woman? What if you were the shepherd or the woman? And what if the sheep and the coins are a part of your life? Parts of yourself, parts of your story, parts of your history. Maybe today's gospel is not about categorizing ourselves or others as sinners or righteous, as the Pharisees and scribes are doing. Maybe this gospel is really about wholeness and losing parts of ourselves, and not who is good or bad, or out, in or out, righteous or unrighteous. Here's why I say that. Luke says that Jesus told them this parable. Told who? He told this parable to the Pharisees and the scribes, as well as to the sinners and tax collectors. And interestingly, all of them came up wanting. All of them were missing parts of that which will make them whole. The Pharisee and the scribe could not claim wholeness, just as the sinner and tax collectors could not claim wholeness. And so to be lost is something we've all experienced. Sometimes we know we are lost, and other times we don't. Sometimes we know that parts of ourselves are lost, and sometimes we are not quite sure. We just feel incomplete. And so again, I beg the question, what parts of your life are you searching for today? What do you need to have more wholeness? What do you need to be complete in yourself? Have you ever said that you need to get your life turned around? Have you ever felt like something was missing? Maybe you knew what it was, or maybe you didn't. You just had a restless longing, a sense that there was something missing, something that you are searching for. And you go through life and you sense that there are people who are there. They are searching. And sometimes there are people who do the most stupid things. And if you are patient with them, you'd realize that it is not that they are stupid and out of control. It is that they are searching for something that is missing. It's just that they do not know what is missing, and they do not have the right people in their lives to help them to discern what is missing. When you look around in our world, you realize that our world seems to be out of control, and so many persons are restless, and doing all kinds of nonsense. And very often we are ready to write them off. He's a bad boy, she is confused or is depressed, and we say this one is this, and we don't realize that what is happening is that there are persons who have confronted their incompleteness, and they are searching for completeness. And that is why St. Augustine in his prayer said, Lord, our hearts are restless until they find rest in God. So every human being at some point or another in his or her life finds himself searching for completeness. Find himself or herself searching for fulfillment, for meaning, for purpose. And they go on this quest of searching. Maybe you knew something was missing in your marriage, your parenting, your reputation, your integrity, your work, and you wanted to turn things wrong again. And there are persons who go through those phases in their lives. They sense that something is missing in their marriage. They sense that something is missing in their parenting and their parenting skills. They recognize that something is missing in their integrity, something is missing in their reputation, something is missing in their career, in their zeal for their work, something is missing, and they want to find that again. There was a time in their marriage that they were so sure, a time in their marriage where they were so in love, a time in their marriage where they were so committed to their spouse, and then they find themselves drifting, being pulled away, and they sense that something is missing. And there are some persons who, in searching for that, find themselves in a place that is difficult and hard. But what they're doing is that they're searching for completeness. There's some parents who do not have a very good relationship with their children, and they remember time when the child was growing up, when the child was a toddler, when they were still combing the child's hair, when they were still picking out her dresses or picking out his shirt for him to wear. And they were beautiful times of togetherness and respect. And they find now that the relationship is strained, that they're not getting along, that they're not talking to each other, they're constantly quarreling. And they are on this quest, searching for a place, searching for a restoration, a renewal of that relationship. And it's hard. It is easy to feel that you're at a place where you can give up, but because you're committed to this cause, you continue to search, because you will never find peace or rest until the relationship has been restored. And I sense that this parable speaks to us not only about being lost in sin, but also when a part of our life is missing, is lost. Remember a time when you were so enthusiastic about your career? So enthusiastic as a young recruit, you gave your all, you were passionate about this, and as time goes on, you have been rubbed the wrong way by people and situation, and just a matter of the years have taken a toll on you, and you find that your love for this is waning, and you go through a season where you're searching because you are not fulfilled, and you seek fulfillment. Am I getting through to you here this morning? When have you walked away from a relationship or a part of your life because it was too hard, too scary? Have you ever looked in the mirror and wondered, where is my joy? Where is my enthusiasm? Where is my will? Where is my strength? Where is my enthusiasm for life, my zeal, my zest? And you find yourself every day, every morning you wake up, you hit the road running because you're searching for this which is missing. And you want wholeness. Sometimes we lose parts of ourselves through situations that happen to us. Think of persons who have been raped. They lose a part of themselves because and through rape. The invasiveness of that experience, the taking away of their will, the intrusion into their life, and they live searching for this part of themselves that has been missing. A loved one dies and it feels as though a part of you have died with them. Life is never the same again. And you go through life trying to relive the times when this person was alive, and the times when this person journeyed with you, and the times when this person blessed your life, and the times when this person affirmed and reassured you that all will be well. And that person has died, and it feels as though a part of you have also died. Persons who have gone through divorce also live feeling a sense that a part of them have died with the death of the marriage, the death of the relationship, the years that they have invested. How do they redeem those years? The strength, the energy, the will that has been poured into the emotional well-being that has been poured into this, they feel drained, empty, and they're searching, wanting to be filled again. Have you ever been there in life when life becomes overwhelming and confusing, to the pain and wounds of life, to circumstances that are nobody's fault, and sometimes to the choices we have made or the choices that others have made? Sometimes we lose ourselves to fear, anger, jealousy, wanting to be right more than doing right. Sometimes we lose ourselves to success, gaining approval, meeting the expectations of others, trying to live in people's image of us, trying to keep up with the Jones, and we lose a part of ourselves because we know that we do not quite fit in, that this is not my comfort zone, that this is not me, and what you're seeing is simply a put on, and I long to be myself. And you go searching for that. Today's gospel is an invitation to wholeness, or what we sometimes call salvation. It is not about being 90% or even 99% alive. It is not about being 90% whole or even 99% whole. What God desires is 100% wholeness. We are to look at the entirety of our life. Every sheep matters. Every area of your life matters. Every part of your being matters. Every coin matters. This is about wholeness and abundance, not about quantity, but about quality. And I'm submitting to you that the one that is missing and the 9 that is left, and the one that is missing and the 99 that is left, is not about quantity. It's about quality. The quality of our lives. The gospel of Jesus is not about making bad people good. It is about bringing people back to life, the fullness of life. It is a path by which we find ourselves. It's a call to wholeness. Jesus is calling you back to wholeness, back to your full self. Our life's journey is a journey towards wholeness. But I want you to notice something quickly with me. That for the woman, her search was internal. Her search was within her house. The coin that was missing, that was lost, was inside her house, and she swept her house until she found it. It was not outside in the yard. It was not in the neighbor's place. It was not in the public road. It was not at the standpipe. It was not in the bank. It was in her house, and she needed to do introspection. She needed to search within, and as she searched within, she found within what was missing. And I'm submitting that for some of us, depending on what is missing, it is right within us, and we need to begin to look inward. The problem is not outward. What is missing is not to be gained through other people, through other relationships, through other friendships, through other opportunities. The solution, the thing can be found right within our lives. I speak also in terms of religious organizations. Sometimes what is missing in our spirituality is not found out there in another religion. It's not found out there in another church. Is not found out there in another ministry. Is not found out there on another television program. Sometimes the very thing that is missing in our spirituality is right within, and we just need to take the time to look within, and we're going to find we just need to stop a while. We just need to search within, and we are going to to find that God has already provided within all that is needful for life and faith and ministry and being. I'm speaking to some persons this morning, and God would have me say to you that all that you need to become a spiritual giant is already right here at James Street, already right here in the Methodist Church, that the places to serve is already right here. You do not need to go on a mission trip somewhere far away to do the will of God. We bless God for those of you who are called beyond the shores, but I'm submitting that for the majority, that for that one, I'm submitting that the ministry opportunities are already right here, and you need to just stop and hear the voice of the Lord as he bids you, as he calls you, as he guides you, as he directs you, because it is time to look within. But for the man, the shepherd with the sheep that was lost, he needed to look not within the fold. He needed to go beyond his own boundary. He needed to go beyond his fold. He needed to go and search in the neighbor's yard. He needed to go and search in the grass over in the pavilion. He needed to go and search in somebody's field up the road. He needed to go and search somewhere in the wilderness. His journey is going to take him away from home. His journey means that he has to sacrifice his security and his well-being. His journey means that there is a need for effort. It may take and require much of him. His journey means that he may have to prepare a little more carefully. His journey means that he may have to carry some stuff because he doesn't know exactly when he's going to find the sheep. And when nightfall comes, that he needs to protect himself against the wiles of the enemy. And so his search takes him outside beyond. But he knows and he has the assurance that his love for this sheep that is lost is worth the sacrifice. And so he goes out to search. And again, there may be some of you that God is calling beyond yourself, beyond your comfort level, beyond your home, beyond your place of worship, to go and search. But if you notice that as the woman finds the coin, it is in her house that she rejoices. When the man, or the shepherd rather, found the sheep, he came back where? To his house to rejoice. So at the end of the day, the rejoicing takes place at home. The rejoicing is to serve home. The rejoicing is to benefit home. When the sheep is found, when the coin is found, when that which within us has been found, it is to be used for the glory of God at home. It is to be used to glorify God at home. And so I want to challenge you today, because all of us are broken. All of us are missing something. All of us have gaps in our lives. All of us are longing for wholeness, for completeness. And I hear Simeon, who for years lived with this sense of incompleteness when he saw Jesus. As Jesus was being offered up in the temple by his parents, Simeon said, "Lord, let your servant now depart in peace, for my eyes have seen your salvation." You know what's going on there? Simeon has experienced wholeness, completeness. And now that he has experienced completeness, he says, "Lord, whatever you want to do, your will be done." I want to say to you as I close that you can't search for what is missing without God. It is God who leads you and guides you and directs you. And when you search with God, you find what is missing. When you search with God, you find what is missing. So for those of you who find that the worship is not as fulfilling as you think it needs to be, search right here with God, and you will find. When there are aspects of your life emotionally, spiritually, relationally, that are missing, don't go searching on your own. Take the name of Jesus with you. Let Jesus walk with you and guide you. The hymn writer says, when we walk with the Lord, come on, help me, in the light of his word, what a glory he sheds on our way. While we do his good will, he abides with us still, and with all who will trust and obey. Maybe today you feel incomplete, missing aspects of you that makes you whole. Jesus invites you today. Search, knock, ask, and it shall be given unto you. I pray that you will not leave this place today incomplete. I pray that you would not leave this place today broken. I pray that you may leave today with the wholeness that only God alone in Jesus can bring about.